This episode of the Managing Madrid podcast is brought to you by Fairmont Dallas Hotel. They made Managing Madrid stay in Dallas during Real Madrid's U.S. preseason tour so good, so comfortable, and made our coverage that much better because we were well rested. And we are very appreciative of Fairmont Dallas, not only because they helped out with the show and our stay covering Real Madrid, but also just the fact that it was an awesome hotel. Great place to stay at. If you're going to Dallas in the foreseeable future, heck, Real Madrid may be there next summer again, given that this Clásico in Dallas was a wild success. It was the highest ever attended Clásico on U.S. soil, more than Vegas, more than Miami, and I would not be surprised if they go back next summer. So if you're planning on attending next summer's Clásico, I know we're getting ahead of ourselves, but just Dallas in general, go to fairmont.com/Dallas. Book your stay at Fairmont Dallas. They are awesome, so comfortable, such a great location, and great pool. Relax in comfort. Take a refreshing dip in the large junior Olympic-sized swimming pool and enjoy delicious specialty cocktails, lunch, and drinks. Poolside services are offered seasonally as weather permits. Big thanks to Fairmont Dallas. Coming up is a clip taken from last week's mailbag podcast. It is a question asking us to give our thoughts on how Kylian Mbappe's arrival may impact Vinicius Jr. and Jude Bellingham. And also some quick housekeeping. It is currently Wednesday. We have 2 more shows coming up this week. Both are over on patreon.com/Managing Madrid. One is our weekly live Zoom call. The other is our weekly mailbag. Both of those only on patreon.com/Managing Madrid. So we'll see you there. And then our next free one will be post-game, Athletic Club. First game of the season. And without further ado, here's today's clip. Enjoy. Let's go. Sushank says, "Hey guys, hope you're both doing well. I have a question about player roles in our prospective Real Madrid squad. Vinicius is clearly the best winger in the world at the moment. Playing out of position is hurting him and the team despite Bellingham shining in this setup. Should we get Mbappe? We are probably going to switch back to a 4-3-3 to get the most out of our attackers. How does Bellingham fit into that particular setup? Do you see him performing as well in central midfield, considering he plays riskier passes and seems to be more prone to misplaced passes? Or do you see us set up with a double pivot in a 4-2-3-1? Also, how do you see Vinicius' role as our franchise player changing if we sign Mbappe?"
If Real Madrid sign Mbappe, I expect the 4-3-3 back for Real Madrid with Bellingham playing as a central midfielder on the right side. That's what Ancelotti has said during this preseason. And just to be clear, no, I think that would not be the best role for Bellingham. It would be kind of Ancelotti reaching some kind of compromise here, because even Ancelotti himself has said that Bellingham is more comfortable playing behind the strikers than he would be as a central midfielder. So it would be my expectation and my guess in terms of what Ancelotti would do when or if Real Madrid sign Mbappe this summer. But personally, I would probably go to the 4-2-3-1 with Camavinga and Tchouaméni in the double pivot. And then Vinicius, Rodrigo on the wings, Bellingham playing behind Mbappe. That's what I would do. But obviously, it's a bit problematic in terms of leaving all Kroos, Modric, and Valverde on the bench. Those 3 are definitely tough players to bench at the moment. And that's basically why I thought, and I still think and believe, that it was a mistake to extend both Kroos and Modric's contract, even though it actually gives you more depth. I think because of their role, because of their legacy, and because of their status as players, having them both in the squad kind of takes away some of your flexibility as the coach, because it's very tough to keep them both off the bench, I think.
Yeah, I just a quick point about Kroos. Last time we discussed the subject, we went viral and everyone hated us. Remember the Modric? We said we wouldn't renew Modric.
Oh.
But I'm putting Kroos and Modric in 2 different categories. I think renewing Kroos is a smart decision because he's still elite. Like, he's not like an old, washed-up player. The guy's a genius, man. Like, you need him. I'm more than okay with, and Modric is too. But it's just the difference between Modric and Kroos to me is that Modric is his performances of greatness are gonna be fewer and far between the older he gets. But Kroos is still like at a level, and Modric is too, but Modric is at that level not as consistently the way I see it. So I'm totally okay with the renewal of Kroos. Back to this question, I think Bellingham is someone generally I'm not worried about with regards to formations and how he fits because he can play anything. He's great as an 8. I mean, so if you put him back as an 8 in central midfield, he's great. Sure, like he's great as a 10 and everyone likes the way he connects the dots, but he can cover so much ground defensively. You don't have to worry about like your balance if you put him in a deeper role. He can still attack. So I'm not worried about him going into an 8 role if Ancelotti goes to a 4-3-3. I do think the 4-2-3-1 is a bit of a compromise in the sense that if Ancelotti wants to go in a diamond, that does make sense because you could put Bellingham in the hole and you can fit Vinicius and Mbappe and you can fit the midfielders if you want. But I also think it's not going to be quite a symmetrical 4-2-3-1 like the Mourinho days. It's going to be completely like players everywhere. I think that's what's going to happen. And I also think there's still going to be plenty of games if Mbappe arrives that Bellingham is going to be the third attacker. It's going to be Mbappe, Vinicius, and Bellingham. And it's just going to be kind of weird, but I think it's going to be devastating. It's going to work.